As the war between Israel and Hamas enters its sixth week, Palestinians are fleeing northern Gaza during short-term evacuation windows. As Alex Hogan explains, Israeli forces are pressing deeper into Gaza as Israel says it's opened a second humanitarian corridor for people to get out.
After days of continued attacks here in northern Israel between the IDF and Hezbollah, the country's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, traveled to northern Israel, giving a very grim warning to Hezbollah, warning that if attacks continue, the IDF will not flinch at doing to Beirut what it has done to Gaza. And it was just hours earlier when the leader of Hezbollah gave a speech of his own in Lebanon as tensions continue to boil over. Hassan Nasrallah called Lebanon a frontier of pressure on Israel and that Hezbollah is armed with new weapons and ammunition. Now, moving further south, the IDF targeted Hamas in Gaza by land, air, and sea. The IDF says that so far it's found more than 90 tunnels used by Hamas. The Israeli government has agreed to temporarily pause the fighting for civilians to flee, something that 100,000 people have done just in the past several days. The IDF today says it took out a member of Hamas who kept 1,000 people hostage in a Gaza hospital, preventing them from evacuating. We have seen some of the footage inside those hospitals filled with patients surrounded by attacks, and the Palestinian health minister is calling for immediate help after he says the electricity was cut off at Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, where patients suffered from lack of oxygen and medicine. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia today, Arab leaders are meeting to discuss the war and what to do. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman says that the war needs to end and that all of the hostages need to be returned. Iran celebrating what it calls the unity of Islamic nations. Here on the ground, there's a very real sense of curiosity from Israelis and members of the government after we've seen protests take place around the world as to whether foreign leaders and other citizens are supporting Israel's right to defend itself after the attacks on October 7th. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called out some of the criticism, saying that the blame should be pointed at Hamas.